Heavenly Father, we come to you today with humble hearts, seeking your guidance and wisdom as we begin this program. Lord, we ask that you would bless every person who has gathered here today, and that you would be present with us in a special way. We pray that this program would be a time of learning, growth, and fellowship for all of us. Help us to listen to one another with open hearts and open minds, and to support one another as we strive to serve you in all that we do. Please give us the strength and the courage to follow your will and to use the gifts and talents you have given us to make a positive difference in the world. We pray all of this in your holy name. Amen.
Ayan, hello and magandang gabi po sa ating lahat. And welcome to Human Resource 105 webinar on Human Resource Workplace Compliance brought to you by Scale Up Training and Development. Thank you so much po everyone for joining us tonight, and welcome po sa everyone na andito sa Zoom, and of course yung mga nasa Facebook live stream ngayon. So, in this session, we will focus on workplace compliance. So, tonight, we're going to be introduced to labor laws, to policies, to ethical standards, and the best practices to prevent violations and build a legally sound and values-driven na workplace. So, before we begin, please be reminded of the following. First, please keep your microphones muted to minimize background noise. Second, use the chat box responsibly for your questions and comments. Third, let's respect our speaker and fellow participants at all times. Fourth, stay focused and engaged throughout the session. And lastly, kung kaya naman, please keep your cameras on to make our session more interactive. So, actually, this webinar or this session is ang panglima na namin na session under Human Resource Series. Of course, under Scale Up Training and Development. So, a quick review lang. Last time, we had Human Resource 104, which is the webinar on Human Resource Compensation and Benefits, where napag-usapan natin doon on how to design and how to implement effective strategies para sa pag-attract, sa pag-retain, at pag-motivate ng talent. So today, we move into a very critical topic, which is again the workplace compliance. So our mentor for tonight is an HR management expert and an HR strategy specialist. A recruitment director at Virtual Staffing Solutions, is a certified paralegal professional, is a certified human resource professional, and a special projects director at the ICT Council of Davao City. So let us all welcome our mentor for tonight, Michael Pinto.
Hi guys, let me just turn on my camera. So um good evening everyone. As Rain said earlier, we are on the fifth leg of our human resources topic. So for this topic tonight, for HR compliance and ethical practices, this would just be kind of short because the good thing about HR compliance is it actually intersects with a lot of topics in human resources. Like before, we have discussed about our what's this our compensation and benefits. So most of the topics that we also have, and some of them are really with you know HR compliance na din. So As Rain mentioned, yung mga ano natin, the laws governing, for example, some of the things compliance wise are also being discussed sa time na yun, on that topic. So the discussion that we will have right now is just about HR compliance and the ethical practices that we have, and are to be expected by the employees in their places of work. So it could be a very good checklist for everyone to see if these practices are done in their workplace. So I will be asking questions mamaya, on the chat. You can raise your hand or whatever, and then just type your questions on the chat box. I'll try to answer it as we go along. I would love for someone to really participate because this topic is kind of short. So I don't think that we will really consume the entire 2 hours for this topic because, as I've said, most of the discussions that we have in here were already discussed in previous topics that we have. So I think I was already introduced by Rain. My name is Michael. You can call me Kael. That's my nickname. I've been practicing HR. We don't really call it HR right now. So I've been practicing HR and talent acquisition for like the past almost 15 years. My background mainly is training, people and culture plus talent acquisition. And I've been working, or I have worked in a few centers in Davao City. I've worked as a consultant as well and a special projects director for ICT Davao, where we have launched a few projects to help the community get employment. So I was a BS Psych graduate from University of Iloilo. I also studied. I lacked like a few subjects, like a couple of research subjects in University of San Agustin in my master's degree. But I need to move to Davao for work. So I moved to Davao without finishing that master's degree, but I have my postgraduate degree in research and development management from UP, as well as my paralegal certification. So in HR compliance, most violations, as they say, happen in silence. So people sometimes don't know that there are already violations because they're not aware of it, right? Di nila alam that it's already a violation. And compliance begins with the awareness that something done was wrong, right? So if you don't know that it's wrong and you thought it's just right, it's just correct, then nobody will really mind it. But if you know you're right, if you know what's happening, then if you're aware that it is wrong, then that's where you would know that there is violation. So compliance now begins with awareness, clarity, and courage. Kasi you also need to be courageous to really question if something that something's happening is a violation, di ba? Some people are just very quiet kasi natatakot sila to be scrutinized, natatakot sila to be an outcast, or sometimes being typecasted as reklamador ito na tao. So um you just need to be aware that something is not correct, and also you should have the courage to call it out or to bring it up to the management. Questions lang later if you have. Kasi as I've said, this topic is kind of short, but we will be, you know, if you could say, we will be dissecting some of the items that I have on this presentation, and just feel free to ask questions. So at least we would supplement it with other information as well. So, what is human resource compliance? So, HR compliance refers to the alignment of an organization's people practices with labor laws. So, ang pina-practice ba ninyo inside the company? Is it in alignment, or is it aligned with the labor laws, industry regulations, and ethical standards, 'di ba? Sometimes it might not be sa labor code kasi 'di ba sometimes si labor code kasi there are times na it's really kind of generic. Though it is designed to protect employees, sometimes the labor code, or not sometimes, but most of the time, the labor code will be supplemented by the employee policies or the company policies that your organizations have. So hindi lang siya labor code, may mga company policy tayo na that the companies put in place to augment or to supplement the labor code as well. Pero if the company policy is not aligned with the labor code, di ba? The labor code or the labor laws of this country would still supersede any employee handbook or any company policy. Unless, again, there is an exception, unless there is documented agreement between you and the company that you will follow specific or certain provisions sa contract mo, and it might not be that aligned to the labor code. So dito na pumapasok yung mga discussions on litigation, yung mga pumupunta na sa NLRC because may mga there's something in the contract na hindi pala siya aligned sa labor code pero pumirma ka. So you need to really prove to the court na I did not know about this. I was under duress when I signed this. I was threatened when I signed the contract. I signed the contract because I need a job. Pero again, that would be for the courts or at least the NLRC to decide kung sino yung papanikan. So industry regulations, of course, there are other regulating bodies, especially in different types of industries, like construction, for example. Diba? Aside from our OSH, there are other industry regulations that are being put in place, and ethical standards. So ethical standards naman, it's kind of tricky because again, what can be ethical in one place or one company would not be ethical sa others, right? For example, if I can remember in some Southeast Asian countries, 'di ba? It's not against the company policy or something na they hit employees. Kita niyo naman yan sa mga K-drama, sa mga Japanese nyo na Japanese drama or anime that you guys watch na sometimes they're being hit sa head ng boss. Yes, here siguro it's really an ethical issue, pero doon sa kanila, hitting is like part of the culture. If someone is doing wrong, parang yun yung nangyayari, but after that, outside the work, you guys are friends. But yun, dyan pumapasok ang culture ng isang company. So is it ethical ba sa inyo or sa company na yan or not? It ensures that policies, processes, and decisions uphold the rights of the employee or the employees while protecting the organization from legal and operational risk. Of course, di ba, pag court things are really expensive, ang kaso-kaso, they are very expensive. So, as HR, you need to make sure that you need to seal all loopholes. You need to follow all the industry and labor standards para wala kang ma-encounter na these types of complaints. And also operational risks, di ba? That's the reason that industry standards are being followed to avoid occupational risks, technically. That's also the reason why each company should have an OSH. What do they call that? It's like an OSH council or a group that is monitoring your operational occupational safety and health. So yun. Kasi 'di ba, if may mga industry standards kayo or regulations na hindi pina-follow and accidents happen, the company might also be facing legal issues, and the person or the employee who had that accident, 'di ba, might be also facing permanent disability, etc. So that's a risk that we should not, take. We should not just take lightly. So moving on to the next slide. So legal versus ethical compliance. So there are really sometimes the lines between these two are really blurred. So minsan hindi siya it's really intersecting. So following government mandated rules such as minimum wage, the due process, statutory benefits, health and safety, and privacy laws. So sa legal compliance, these are all covered. Like for example, your minimum wage, the due process, statutory benefits, health and safety, that's under DOLE. Of course, it has provisions on our labor code na ito yung minimum wage, then there are memorandum, 'di ba? Na pag nag-increase yung minimum wage, there are always like department na memorandum advising all companies na tumaas yung minimum wage. Also on the labor code that we have, the labor code of the Philippines, the due process is really observed. That's why you cannot be fired unless there is a merong two notices that was sent out. So it could be the first notice, could be your notice to explain or your NTE. Then there should be a due process. There should be like a hearing that will happen to hear both sides, the employee and the company. And you should have, you will be given a chance to prepare your evidences and defend yourself. Pero pag wala pa din, then that's where the second notice or the notice of termination would come. So, dapat sa lahat ng mga issues na ito, there should be due process. You are entitled to be heard by the company. Statutory benefits, of course, your usual, pag-ibig, SSS, PhilHealth, those are mandated by the government that should be paid. If you can see now, yung mga deduction natin, it's really, really big. Yung PhilHealth has really, really big deductions. And SSS also has like a mandatory savings na I don't know saan pupunta yan pag namatay ka or whatever. But you need to be aware of these statutory benefits, and you need to also check with your company if they have, or check with the agency. Check nyo sa pag-ibig, sa SSS, sa PhilHealth, if ang binabawas sa inyo ng mga money to pay for these statutory benefits are being remitted by the company. Kasi 'di ba, sometimes you discover that nagbabayad ka ng ilang years na, 5 years, then na-aksidente ka, you go to PhilHealth, wala pa lang mga remittances na binigay yung company mo. So, kinukuha lang nila yung money mo, they just deduct your salary for statutory benefits and payments, pero hindi siya niremit sa pangalan mo. So you need to check that. So if you're working, kailangan i-check nyo yan immediately. By the way, just show of hands for everyone daw dito sa chat room. Who are students here pa ba? Do we have a lot of students here? Do we have a lot of employees? We need to know kasi of course the examples should be tailor-fitted to majority of the audiences that we have, 'di ba? Hindi man pwede now we're talking about statutory benefits and everything here. Tapos mga estudyante pala ito. Sino yung students? Type nyo na lang dito sa chat. Oh. So si Angelica is a student ba? Aura? So kung student ka, okay, si Fides is working. So for those working, again, please check with your company if all of those statutory benefits are being remitted under your name. Sa mga students naman, as early as now, you need to get all of these government na mga IDs, di ba? Para once you graduate, you already have. And please make sure that you don't lose your TIN. It's not TIN number ha. It's TIN lang kasi the N there stands for number. So it's tax, ano nga yan? TIN stands for tax identification number. So if nawala mo yung TIN mo, tapos kumuha ka ng bagong TIN, then if the company would notice na dalawa yung TIN mo, there's a penalty for that ha, parang 1,000 pesos ata. So your TIN stays with you forever. If you transfer to a different location, you just need to transfer the TIN to a different tax, what do they call that? Basta may mga tax bureau yan na kung saan mo siya I don't depende siya Fides if it is like I think we discussed this sa compensation and benefits. Pero may mga exemption ata for 5 or less na employees. Pero you need to check kung until like ano yung pwede mong ibaba. Kay minimum wage, I know, di ba? Malaki siya masyado. But for smaller businesses with 5 ata or less na employees, there can be an exemption. Pero what that exemption is, I just don't know. But you need to inform Dole about it as well. So you just need to go to Dole and ask them kung how you go about with it. But yes, there can be an exemption basta less yung employees mo. Even nga yung mga, di ba, yung mga 13th month pay, etc., there are also exemptions for it. Hindi ko lang siya na-memorize. Basta I think there is an exemption if you have employees, 5 or less na employees. And then the business is like small. So yeah, thank you, revenue districts. Yan, kung mag-transfer kayo, for example sa Davao City, dalawa yung RD nila. So kung if your company belongs to a different district, kailangan ipa-transfer mo siya sa kabila para ma-map siya ng mabuti. But yes, thank you. Walang name. Health and safety. Ito yung this is what we were talking about earlier, yung there's OSH dapat na inobserve. That's the reason that there are, di ba? For like companies, I cannot remember it, but it's a week long seminar with for OSH in order for you to get like that safety officer certification, which is needed by the company as well. And of course, the privacy laws dito, it's under yung Data Privacy Act of 2012. Like it will dictate how long, and we will discuss that later, it will dictate how long you are able to keep the data, etc. So yun, those are part of your legal compliance. The ethical compliance naman, it goes beyond minimum requirements to ensure fairness, transparency, respect, and integrity in all HR interactions. So there are times na, di ba, for example, there are companies na they are beyond or mas mataas sila sa minimum wage, but their salary equity inside the internal equity of the company, hindi siya aligned masyado. So there, you can say na may mga employees doon na pareho lang yung level, but they are being paid smaller than others or mas mababa yung sweldo nila compared to most others na of the same job level, of the same job description. So most of the companies, I hope, they're doing realignment of salaries or other na mga ano nila, other na mga benefits nila should be equal to kung ano yung mga nakukuha din ng ibang tao. So there are also ethical compliances naman kasi, though hindi siya talaga very specific on like there are ethical standards in like per company, di ba? We set our ethical standards and those ethical standards must be kept all the time. Pero most of the ethical standards, again, they change. Sometimes it depends on the company that you are in. Diba, may mga companies that they have their own ethics committee who's also checking kung tama ba yung ginagawa. There are part of those ethical standards that companies put is, for example, yung mga if you have like first degree consanguinity or first degree association with an employee under you, di ba? Hindi yan siya ina-allow ng companies minsan kasi you're not supposed to have a relative reporting under you for, you know, just to make sure na walang mga nepotism na nangyayari na nauna siyang ma-promote or you'd favor her or him because relative mo. So there are also standards like that being put by companies sa mga company handbooks nila. So those things. Next slide would be the role of HR in risk prevention. So HR acts as gatekeeper. So ensuring all people-related policies align with laws. That's why si HR nyo dapat ang first person na tatanungin nyo. Because they should be aware and they should know what the employee handbook contains. Diba? So, dapat lahat ng mga policy sa company nyo, align siya, as we've said, should be aligned with the laws existing sa labor code natin. They should also act as educator, training employees and leaders on compliant practices. So there are in my company right now, we actually have like the training department. It's a separate department namin. But they have we actually have some trainings that we give to the leaders. In some companies, they have HRBPs or HR business partners, which are in charge of coaching and training the leaders on how to ethically handle their employees, how to manage employees, not just through their performances, but also how to deal with them, coach them, grow them, and you know, or even promote fairness to the team that they're handling. So yan yung role ni HRBP as well. They also act as monitors, so identifying risk areas through audits, documentation, and reporting. So that's the reason in most companies, di ba may mga business reviews yan, or at least state of the company, where the HR would report ano yung nangyayari, saan tayo, how many people were like left the company, may mga tao ba na parang who violated yung mga critical na policies ni company. So those things, HR actually does that for the company. And also, they also act as enforcers. Of course, applying policies consistently and fairly. So si HR talaga yung um, should be able to um, they are the ones or that's the department na kayang mag-interpret ng handbook niyo supposedly. So if there are any pag meron kang doubt, for example, is this the right thing to do? Is this correct ba? How would you handle complaints ba? It's better to go to your HR department and check on how to go or to move forward with like complaints or other issues or mga reports of violation na nangyayari. So si HR naman, though sabi nga nila, 'di ba, it's always the HR is always pro company, but dapat HR should be in the middle. They should be the bridge that connects the employees to the employer. Kasi 'di ba, the risk of that they need to balance it. Kasi hindi naman pwede na always lang sa HR mag-pro company tapos will face issues with like DOLE, for example. So dapat it should be a balanced thing. Though they need to follow and enforce our policies, they also need to do it ethically. That's why sa HR, di ba, ang mga cases ni HR, it should be done in private. Hindi yan dapat i-chismis ni HR sa mga employees na ganito, may case si ganito, may sexual harassment case si ganitong tao sa ganitong department. Kasi that is a violation of your ethical standards as well. So yan. So consequences of non-compliance. So kung hindi nagko-comply si organization, si company, kung hindi siya nagko-comply ng mga standards na ito, what will happen? So fines, of course, there are penalties. 'Di ba? May mga fines na pwedeng ipataw sa company. There are the consequence or at least the possibility of facing legal cases and other government sanctions. If you've seen, there are companies na nagfe-face ng closure, for example, since they don't pay their taxes, for example, or wala silang mga licenses, or they're using fake technology licenses, or hindi sila nagre-remit ng mga statutory benefits ng mga employees nila. So they can face penalties from the government, di ba? Damage to brand reputation. If you're familiar with, ano nga yung educational, before CAP ba yun? Yung may something na naging issue on the insurance. So, even though na they still survive, they still operate. Nag-operate pa ba sila? I heard last time that they still operate. But the brand reputation has been damaged already. So eto, branding is a very big part of any company. How you put yourselves in the market and how you put yourselves out there. Di ba may mga brands that are synonymous to products na? Like example, yung Colgate, di ba when we say toothpaste, ang mga tao sa tindahan, they say, pabili ng Colgate. We don't really hear kids say pabili ng close-up, di ba? It's always Colgate kung toothpaste yan, or Tide if sabon, or Safeguard if sabon. So those are like really very good branding kasi you know that it's very good branding because they become synonymous to the name of the product that they're selling. Wait lang. For example, ano ba yung sa US, 'di ba? Heinz is ketchup. So it's synonymous when you say you put Heinz on your burger. So in your burger. So it's really ketchup. So yun yung ayaw nating i-damage yung reputation of the brand. There are sa BPO industry, di ba? Like, ang brand ni, if you've known Sutherland, ang brand niya is really good training ground. Yan yung naririnig ko when I started there. Now, it's a very good training ground for leaders or for call center agents. So it's really that brand na nagiging attached sa company niyo. Or Starbucks really for coffee, mga ganyan. So they really built this reputation. So if may damage if they are not following the standards, if may mga reklamo yan, may mga cases yan, it could damage the brand reputation. Losing the brand reputation would also affect the investor confidence. So normally, we see this sa mga K-drama na pinapanood nyo. Especially if the K-drama is about corporate takeovers, yung mga binabuyout ng mga companies. Investors might lose confidence on a company that has a lot of cases or sanctions from the government, and they would pull out their investments. And lastly, of course, there will be operational disruption. Kasi syempre, pag pina-close kayo ng, what if ipapa-close kayo ng government for like a few weeks or like let's say 1 month na may sanction kayo, na close kayo. So it will disrupt operations. Nawawalan ng trabaho yung mga tao nyo, yung mga kita ng company will be affected. Your production is affected. So those things. Konti pa lang naman na companies na nakita ko na that were sanctioned by the government, mostly pinapasarado ng BIR. But or yung sa health inspections, for example, they discovered something dirty during health inspection, and the restaurants being closed by the government because hindi pumasa sa health inspection. So those things, I usually see that. But others, na konti lang naman na, napapa-close kayo because of legal cases, or unless if it's a class suit na talaga na, madami ng tao filing a complaint against you, and then, you were closed, or at least temporarily or permanently closed by the government dahil sa mga mga reklamo na yun. So, consequence of non-compliance for the organization, yeah, it's very clear, di ba? But for employees, kung hindi nagko-comply si work or si company, ano yung nangyayari? So, there will be unfair treatment, of course, pag hindi compliant sa standards si company. May mga unfair treatment dyan internally. Loss of income or benefits, of course. Okay, what if hindi nagko-comply si company sa wages or sa statutory benefits? So you will lose those income or benefits. Unsafe working conditions, if your company is not following yung mga industry regulations and standards. What if you're working in let's say a metal processing plant. Tapos, 'di ba? Nag-iinit 'yan sila sa mga big na parang cauldron ng metal. Tapos walang mga railings kasi hindi nag-follow ng industry standard. Tapos nahulog ka doon. O di patay ka. So personal data exposure, if again non-compliant si company sa data privacy, they could just sell your data to yung mga nagtatawag na nag-offer ng credit card sa inyo. Kasi they sometimes get the numbers of the people. Di ba may mga may mga reklamo nga yan sa mga banks before that there are staff there are staff sa mga banks sometimes that they sell the database to third party. That's why nakukuha ng mga third party na to yung mga numbers natin and they call us. And reduced morale and engagement. Siyempre pag, 'di ba, very pressure na, hindi na ipa-follow ng mga standards, the environment in the company becomes very toxic. So isa yan. One of the reasons why people actually resign or leave the company is because of loss of morale. Okay, so let's move to the next one. So what are the key areas of HR compliance? So yan, 5 lang ang nalista ko. So the key areas would be, number 1, recruitment and onboarding. So sa recruitment and onboarding, we make sure as recruiters, we make sure that lawful job postings and interview practices are being observed. Kasi 'di ba, I don't know if you've encountered yung mga job posting minsan sa mga before not now kasi now it's more social media. But yeah, it's also still happening pala sa mga Viber. Like, I've seen chats in Viber na offering a job daw, ganito yung earnings, earn 5,000 in 1 week or something. Tapos hindi clear yung job description, pero ang ending, it's multi-level marketing pala. So, those are things na mali siya na practice. Kasi 'di ba, when you post the job, it should be clear ano yung qualifications, what are the tasks, ano yung expected na mga gagawin mo. Sometimes you see these postings sa Viber or sa WhatsApp or even sa Facebook, 'di ba? Or sa LinkedIn, I've seen a few na parang nagpo-post sila for like work at home, pwedeng gawin sa cellphone, mga ganyan. But when you dig deeper, hindi pala siya. It's not a legit job talaga. Sometimes ano lang siya, lead generation, papatawagin kayo ng mga leads nila, pero it's all like insurance or something. Non-discriminatory selection. So, ang company nyo ba, when you hire, do you hire people that are like, differently abled, for example, or buntis? Diba, there are companies na they are very specific na ayaw nila ng buntis, and they would even do that, ask that during interviews na, are you pregnant? Do you plan to be pregnant? So, hindi yan dapat, guys, ha? Kasi it's already discriminatory. And also clear employment contracts, 'di ba? That's the reason na kung mag-start na kayo ng mga jobs nyo, you need to check the contract that you are signing. Ano ba yung contract na yan? Kasi there might be some parts of the contract na hindi siya favorable sa inyo. For example, like there are companies na yung mga contracts nila are very shady, very generic sometimes na they sometimes alter the contract. So dapat when you sign your contract, you get a copy of your contract, ha. Hindi lang na sa mga nagtatrabaho dito, do you guys keep the original contract that you've signed, the offer that you've signed? Kasi you need to be very particular with the things that you sign. Kasi 'di ba, nag-sign ka diyan tapos nung nag-resign ka, may ano ka pala, bond. Or nag-attend ka kina-attend ka ng company mo ng isang seminar or workshop, and then gusto mo na mag-resign after 6 months. Hindi pala pwede kasi you have a return service agreement. Yung mga ganyan. So you need to be very uh, really be very meticulous with the contracts that you are signing. So proper onboarding documentation. So eto din, ano ba yung mga needed when you onboard? Siyempre yung mga um, personal, mga information sheet nyo, your government IDs, the NBI, etc. So are these processed properly pa during your onboarding? Kasi 'di ba there ang mga information na ina-affix mo diyan, it's already your private data, 'di ba? Did you sign a data parang um a waiver that the company is allowed to process the data? Yung mga ganyan ngayon, like that's really very important na if you are in HR, like example sa isang company, kailangan meron yan na may waiver ka na papasignan for new employees, asking them if they allow you to process if they allow the company to process the data. Another thing is mga declarations na like even in your job offer, there should be part dapat ng job offer should be like what are the requirements for regularization? Kasi pwedeng magreklamo sa employee niyan na parang bakit hindi ako na-regularize? Wala naman sinabi kung ano yung targets ko para ma-regularize ako. So yan. So dapat it should be on that offer pa lang na okay, these are the requirements of regularization. You should pass like a third month appraisal. You should get meets expectation on your fifth month appraisal, or else you will not be regularized. So dapat clear yan sa ano pa lang, sa offer niyo pa lang. Number 2 would be wages and benefits. So correct computation of pay, allowances, and premium. So eto, I think, again, we have already discussed this, compensation and benefits, the discussion, so no need to really expound on this. But if you want to see ano ba yung proper computation, you can actually check it with DOLE sa online. DOLE, they will provide you ilan ba yung compensation mo, how much is your compensation. Example, nag-OT ka during a holiday, and during your rest day. So may mga times yan. Ano ba yung allowable na allowances? Again, allowances are company initiated. Wala namang ano sa law na kailangan may allowance. And allowances are something that can be changed based on the company's performance, the company's ano to ng what's this, performance for the fiscal year. However, there's also a however there, that if these allowances are given for a long time and it has become a staple or a regular compensation, it's also illegal to like do a diminution of benefits. So tricky siya sometimes kasi pag nabigay mo na siya and then binawi mo siya, ang allowance or ang perk na yon, you can still do that if it's very clear na you will, like, let's say, check on it if you can still give it on a yearly basis. Pero pag example hindi ka nag-specify na in-review ang benefit na ito every year or this additional allowance every year, tapos binawi mo lang siya, people can actually complain about it. But if you're clear naman that, this benefit is based on the company's performance and will be reviewed annually, and pag the next year, wala nang pera si company, so you remove that benefit, that allowance, you can naman actually. Kasi yun nga, allowances are still managed and controlled by the company. For example, yung mga role-based allowance. For example, ikaw, acting team lead. So you're given an allowance. Tapos, hindi ka pumasa. So binalik ka as agent. Tapos, kinuha yung allowance mo. So, do you have the right ba to complain? Siyempre wala. Kasi, in the first place, it is already indicated that it is a role-based allowance or role-based stipend. Kung hindi mo na ginagawa yung role na yun, then you're not entitled to that allowance anymore. So yun lang. Proper remittance of SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig. Again, you need to check it with SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig if may mga remittances talaga na pumapasok sa inyong pangalan. And also, for kids, di ba, pwede na kayong mag-file ng mga loan nyo sa SSS or Pag-ibig after 36 years of work of contribution. 36 contributions pala, not 36 years. 36 contributions. So kayo, if nagko-contribute na kayo sa SSS, try to get like a loan sa Pag-ibig nyo and sa SSS. Kahit yung pinaka-konti lang. Kasi sometimes, I have experience na may isa kong empleyado na nag-try siya mag-loan. But hindi siya nag-loan for like a very long time. Nung nag-try na siya na nag-loan, may naka-loan na under his name. Hindi siya ang nag-loan, pero may nag-apply ng loan sa pangalan niya. So those things. So kailangan nyo yan i-check. Accurate timekeeping processes. So, syempre, we are still being paid for by, the job or the work that we've done. So, accurate ba yung timekeeping nyo sa opisina? So, before, it can be, what's this? Kung manual siya, syempre, di ba, baka matamper, kung mga bandy clock pa before. I don't know if the kids have experienced that, yung parang relo na yung time in. But now, HRIS naman ang ginagamit natin, di ba? We have timekeeping software that are being used. Ang problem naman with software kasi, di ba, there are times na nagpapalog-in yung ibang mga employee sa kasama nila sa work. I actually have fired 2 people who did that way back in Sutherland. We filed a case kasi they're reporting to me. So we filed a case against those employees kasi ang isa, wala pa siya sa office pero nakalog-in na siya. So there are evidences naman on how we can track it, but yun. May mga ganun na mga instances that accurate ba siya? How reliable is it? And there should be policies, governing these types of processes na ginagawa niyo sa company niyo. So employee relations, complaint handling. Do you guys have like meron kasi yan sa mga companies. In my previous company, we actually created like the flow on how you file a complaint. If it is against someone na peer mo sa team, ano yung process niya, kanino ka first pupunta. If the complaint is against the supervisor, what is the process of doing that? So meron talagang HR should have that embedded in the employee handbook para at least kung ikaw empleyado ka and 'di ba tayo when we start working we get a copy of the employee handbook or at least we are directed to the site where the employee handbook is located, the link for example if it's electronic na. So you need to be very familiar with your employee handbook ha, hindi lang na employee handbook lang yan, nasa drawer ko lang yan. You need to be very familiar with it kasi you need to know if there are any violations sa rights mo as an employee. So, it's there, it's dictated, and always, di ba, ano nga yan sabi nila sa law, ignorance of the law excuses no one. So, kung you cannot say, during a hearing, for example, sa HR nyo, na hindi ko alam na nag-exist ang policy na yan. So it is your responsibility to know that that kind of policy exists. So isa yan sa dapat nyong malaman. Conflict resolution, okay, so how do you resolve conflicts sa mga workplaces nyo? So is it by, ano ba, may hearing ba? Is there an ethics committee that handles it? Who will act as like the body who will hear the case? So in my previous company, it's HR plus the parang managing director and also another executive who will listen to the complaints and then in the presence of the company legal officer or the lawyer. So yon. But there should be a process on how to resolve the conflicts at work. Pwede ba na ano lang, na verbal lang ang complaint? So ano yung process ni HR? How will the HR go about it? Will they, like, of course, they will accept the complaint. What's the next step? They will talk back to the person being complained, di ba? Yung nirereklamo na tao. And then what will happen? Will there be like a face-to-face na ano, paghaharapin ba kayong dalawa? Will you guys present evidences kung totoo ba yan o hindi? Yung mga ganon. So there are always processes in place on how to resolve these types of conflicts, especially if the conflicts would affect the entire production or operations of the team that you're in. Diba? Due process in disciplinary cases. So depende how it depends on how grave the misconduct is. And anong type of disciplinary case will it be? Is it a minor infraction? Is it a major infraction? What are your minor infractions? Di ba yung mga minor infractions natin usually, I don't know with other companies. Sa amin kasi, since we are a technology company, minor infraction would involve being late or absent. Minor yan kasi they can actually, as long as they finish their work naman, that's fine. But if they always have unannounced na or yung mga unplanned absences, for example, or late tardiness, pag recurring na siya ng madami na, then that's already an infraction, but it's still a minor infraction. Major infractions would, syempre, what are the major infractions? If they come into work, like, lango, they're drunk, they're unruly, may sinuntok, physical assault is a major infraction. What else? For example, tampering with HR records is a major infraction. Or you lied about something, that's a major infraction that could cause suspension to termination. So depende yan siya sa company nyo on how they would view infractions. Kasi some companies, for example, like in the BPO space, diba, sa BPO industry, tardiness and absences are considered major infractions. Hindi lang siya minor. But in a technology company, minor lang yung absences kasi they're not really required to be in the office all the time, diba? Well, if it's required naman, as long as they can finish their job and they can work 9 hours a day, that's fine. So, for people who are working, you need to really check this as well. The company handbook or the company policies would always have, I don't know lang with other companies, but in my previous organizations, I always have like a disciplinary table. So isang table siya, what are the infractions? Ano ba yan siya? Ano yung magiging penalty of that infraction? Is it a verbal warning? Is it a written warning? Is it written warning to suspension? Is it a 1 day suspension, 3 day suspension, 5, 15, 30 day suspension, or termination? So yun, dapat malaman nyo yun para at least you are aware of the things that you are doing. Ano ba yung magiging penalty nito if I get caught? So yun. Health, safety, and welfare. Of course, safe in working environment. That's number one. There are a lot of new OSH policies, di ba? Clean air, dapat proper lighting, proper sitting position, yung mga ganon. In the past 5 years, marami ng mga additions sa OSH na mga policies ng company. So for example, dapat ang work area mo should have like uh you know carbon dioxide scanners or measuring devices for carbon dioxide, or dapat ergonomic yung mga chairs, na hindi kayo nagsaslouch. So those things, meron na yan ngayon. Emergency protocols in your handbook sa mga policies ng company, anong gagawin nyo in case of. So kami, just a quick story, in my previous company, 2 weeks before the lockdown sa pandemic nung COVID, we actually prepared for it. So nauna na kami, we bought like pocket Wi-Fis for our employees. Sa mga critical resources, we already started sending them home. Then after 2 weeks, nag-lockdown. So kami, we're already prepared for those types of kumbaga, it's part of our business continuity plan na. So like in the policy that we drafted in my previous organization, kasi kami yung gumawa nun. So we even put BCP on terrorist acts. What if may mga terorista na pumasok sa building? In case of fire, earthquake, volcano, in case of typhoon and flooding, in case of epidemics. So dapat very visible, and dyan dapat sa policy ng handbook nyo yung mga emergency protocols nyo. So for example, in case of terrorist act in the city, papasok pa ba yung employee? Ano yung next niya na gagawin? In case na may earthquake, ano yung gagawin ng employee? Papasok pa ba sa office? And those things. Occupational health and safety programs, these are usually additional activities that HR is doing. Like, di ba, during breast cancer month, for example, or fire prevention month, ano yung mga ginagawa? Di ba, may mga fire drills, earthquake drills, bloodletting programs na ginagawa si HR nyo, or nagpapapunta siya sa Women's Month, for example. They provide like free breast cancer awareness seminars or breast checks. Mag-i-invite ng mga doctors to do breast checks. So those are the activities that HR can actually put in place for health, safety, and welfare of the company. And lastly, for this is data privacy and records management, secure handling of employee record, access control and confidentiality, and retention and disposal policy. So under the Data Privacy Act of 2012, dapat ang company should have a data officer and a data, dalawa yan sila. I forgot the other one. There's a data checker, or there's a specific term for that role. It's an appointed role, actually. So dapat merong controller out there. There should be a data controller and a data officer. So sila ito ang nag-check and make sure that the data that the company is, or that the company has, should be collected, processed, stored, and disposed properly. So yan, data officer, yes. So it should be gathered correctly, processed correctly, stored correctly, and disposed correctly. So, may mga companies naman that would have na stated in their data privacy policies na they can keep the data indefinitely. Pero ang nabasa ko ata is just at least 5 years na i-keep kung walang very specific na agreement on the policies that you sign when you enter the company. Kasi may mga company naman na when you enter the company, they will let you sign yung parang data privacy waiver and naka-indicate doon na they can keep your data indefinitely. So meaning, pwede nila i-save kahit 20 years dyan sa files nila. Pwede nilang gawin. Unless you um, file a petition, that telling them that you want your data be purged of the system. Kasi before, di ba, we keep kahit mga resume nga sa recruitment, kahit mga resume nga na mga papel, we actually like keep it in folders. Kasi di ba, there are times na we still would look at previous applicants, we will revisit the profile. Before, mga resume pa yan na mano-mano. But of course now, you can use your applicant tracking system. It's done electronically na. Pero before kasi, when we get rid of CVs, hindi mo lang yan siya crumple and you throw it sa trash. No, hindi pwede. Dapat you need to shred the document para wala talagang information na lalabas, kumbaga, from or makukuha ang ibang tao out of that document. So yan. Questions about this pala before we proceed? Anong page na ba ito? Questions? That's what I was saying earlier na ang mga topics ng HR compliance intersects with a lot of topics that were done. I think there was a data privacy talk na din si Scale Up before, but it's a different speaker if I remember it correctly. But for HR compliance kasi nag-intersect siya talaga sa a lot of things. I don't know if Scale Up has, correct me if I'm wrong, Rain, did we have na ba yung mga OSH na mga discussions? Itong OSH medyo madugo din ito kasi. But yeah, there should be safety officers in companies, especially mas mataas na safety officer certification if it's like construction or other industrial stuff or medical. My question, what can employees do if their HR head and staff are not aligned their credentials for, what do you mean hindi align ang credential ng HR head and HR staff sa position nila? Well, it should be a complaint directed to the owner of the company. Kasi 'di ba, sila naman yung nag-hire nito or whoever the direct the immediate supervisors of these people. HR kasi naman, to be honest, I've actually seen HR na they are grown internally. So it could be mga employees before na nag-HR. Wala namang definite kasi, like, let's say, yes, there should be a qualification, you know how to do this. Pero HR kasi can be learned. That's the thing lang about HR, di ba? Even if iba yung undergrad mo or your field of study is quite different, it can be learned. There are a lot of certifications and lectures naman that you can get, You can get knowledge as HR. Sa akin, ang important lang na sa HR, they need to know how to create their policies. They need to enforce the policies. They need to be very particular with yung existing na policy ni company, yung labor code. Those are the things, wala pa ba? Those are the things that dapat. Kasi hindi naman requirement talaga na human resource management graduate yan. di ba? Or psychology. Before, wala pa namang human resource management. So, psychology grad yan. Sa akin kasi, if they are exposed to the job, then you can really do the job. It's not something kasi very particular. Unlike sa mga nurses na, they have a very specified or very specific na mga training talaga. But for HR kasi, I think it's something that can be learned. It's an advantage if you have a background, if you that and learned that when you were in school. Pero it's something na pwede naman siyang ma-learn along the for a leadership like role. I think it's really great if it's really great if my experience, or at least the person that's handling the entire operations of your HR, dapat may background siya talaga. So kahit hindi naman aligned yung course niya, kasi 'di ba, it could be a different course ang undergrad niya, but they should have, upskill themselves, kumbaga, just to learn more about the job. Yan lang yung yan lang yung masasabi ko. Kasi wala naman talagang, there are no laws naman set in stone for HR. So, 1 minute. Sige, if wala namang questions, let's proceed to the next one. So, compliance as a competitive advantage. So, what would be very advantageous if a company or an organization is following or is compliant to the process or the standards? So trust building compliance shows employees that the organization values fairness and safety, resulting in higher engagement and loyalty. 'Di ba? Pag maganda naman yung mga benefits ng company, nagpa-follow sa lahat ng statutory benefits. If the wage is really good, the benefits given are really good, it creates trust and loyalty, di ba? If the if the work is not toxic, it's safe, well taken care of ang lahat ng employees, people tend to stay sa company na yan. Employer branding. Compliant companies attract better talent and retain their reputation as ethical employees. So, are ethical employers. So, di ba may mga companies na when you hear it, parang ang dating is, uy, maganda magtrabaho dyan. Google, for example, di ba, before, yung mga, yung mga nag-start pa lang si Google. Now, kasi they're also laying off a lot of employees. Pero before, di ba, when you say na, oy, I'm in the tech space. I'm working in the tech industry. Gusto ko sa Google ako mag-work because maganda sa Google or Apple, for example. Yan yung mga nila, because the brand is really good. Sa financial naman, 'di ba? I heard before that people would love to work sa JP Morgan. Because JP Morgan has really nice benefits. Maganda yung pasweldo. The environment is not toxic, maganyan. But that's the advantage of having a company that is following or compliant to the standards. Workforce stability. Fewer disputes, lower turnover, and smoother operations come from consistent fair HR practices. So, di ba, in a company, the first thing that we're looking at sa company, hindi delayed yung sweldo. Kasi pag delay yung sweldo na yan, it creates bad branding din na parang, ay, wag ka dyan kasi nadidelay yung sweldo dyan or kulang-kulang yung sweldo or hindi nagkikredit ng OT or ganito. Ang daming dispute, palaging may reklamo sa HR. So, nagiging pangit ang reputation ng company, nagre-resign ang tao. So, if you have a high turnover, like sa your attrition, yung mga nagre-resign or people who are left and fired, if it's more than 30%, then you should be really worried. Kahit nga 20% lang. Pero sa BPO naman kasi sa BPO space, 20 to 25% is still acceptable na range. Kasi may turnover talaga yan. But sa company ko before, for the past 3-4 years, we are a single-digit attrition. So meaning, ang nagre-resign sa amin, less than 10%. So, which is mataas na siya talaga. So if your HR is great, ang mga sweldo, ang mga benefits are really good, it creates that stability sa workforce. Kasi walang nagre-resign, hindi madidisrupt yung operations. Everything will go smooth, walang mga nagre-reklamo, etc. Wala kayong mga cases sa dole, then it's a very good company to work. So next would be common workplace violation and how they happen. So ito. Misclassification of employees. Under hiring and contracting issues. Hiring freelancers or contractors but treating them as regular staff. Diba there are different provisions for freelancers or contractors? Iba din ang ano nila, ang even like discontinuing their contracts with us. Iba yan. What if ang freelancer mo or ang contractor mo may specific like number of hours lang sila na required to deliver in a month, and then ikaw nag-over ka na doon. So it's like that. You're treating the contractors or the freelancers as regular staff, which hindi dapat. Using project or fixed term employment incorrectly. Ito yung mga project and fixed term, di ba? Very tricky din ito. Kasi ang alam ko, if you like say, if you tag someone as project-based, hindi pwede na continuous siya na project-based lang. Like let's say, yan yung sabi nila, di ba, na parang sa isang branch ng company, pag nag-hire ka ng mga fixed term, like 5 months, 5 months, 5 months, 5 months, magtatanong si Dolly, bakit hindi mo na siya irregular? Kapareho lang naman pala yung task niya and kailangan mo man siya palagi. So, yan yung nagiging tricky when it comes to employment. So, some people, di ba, hindi nila, what they do is, after ng specific na contract, hindi na nila muna i-hire for like ilang months or ita-transfer nila sa ibang location or ipapasukin nila sa ibang company before nila kukunin na naman for a fixed term contract. Sa amin naman kasi before in the IT industry, we actually have project-based we call them workers, project-based workers. Pero the project-based workers kasi, we give them like a project which would last for 1 year. Once they're finished with the contract and the project, then we terminate the contract. Then tapos na yung trabaho nila sa amin. And they might be given another contract for a specific project na naman. So it's really a project. So pag natapos nila ang project, tapos na yung trabaho nila. Hindi na sila papatrabahuin for a different project. So kung ano lang yung na-indicate na project that they will work on, yun lang talaga yung project na tatrabahuin nila. Pagkatapos ng project na yun, then you terminate or tapos na yung project-based contract nila. So yan. Number 2, defective employment contracts. So ito, be very meticulous sa mga contracts that you're signing. Missing job description kasi it's kinda tricky kung walang job description dyan sa contract nyo because the company can just give you any job, diba? So better na may job description talaga sa kontrata na pinirmahan nyo. Ano yung trabaho? Ano yung schedule? And ano yung compensation? So important yan. So pag wala yan, then you need to ask questions. So ambiguous work schedule. So hindi naman pwede na Monday to Friday. 9 hours from Mondays to Fridays. Anong oras? Diba? Unless BPO ka, of course. Or unless specified siya that it's that you will render 9 hours work between 1 p.m. to 6 a.m. So meaning, pwede kang patrabahuin from 1:00 ng hapon hanggang 6:00 ng umaga. So it could be 9 in the evening to 6 a.m. It could be 1 in the afternoon up until 10 p.m. So it's between, at least alam mo na, okay, so I will be working from, shifting schedule from 1 p.m. to 6 a.m. Monday to Friday. So yan. Or at least sometimes, di ba, yung mga contracts could be, you will be working 5 days a week on a shifting schedule. So, that's kind of ambiguous, pero sometimes that would suffice, di ba? You know that you will be working 5 days a week on a shifting schedule. So, your schedule could be Tuesday to Saturday, could be Wednesday to Sunday. So, depende as long na you have 5 work days per week. So, pwede yan. Sometimes nga, nilalagay pa na, you will be working for 40 hours, 5 days per week. So, could be 40 hours na siya. Pwede kang pumasok sa trabaho ng, let's say, Monday, Wednesday, Friday lang ako papasok. Or depende siya. So just make sure that whatever na na-discuss nyo during the interview should be on that contract. And compensation details, very important ito guys ha. Kasi hindi ka, you go to Dole, nagreklamo ka, kulang yung sweldo na binigay sa akin, pero wala naman sa contract mo. So it should be on your contract. Or nagreklamo ka na I should get this bonus, pero wala sa contract mo, wala sa offer, no documentation. Will Dole look at it ba? Pwede. They could. Pero, ang problema is, may kagat ba siya? May pangil ba? You know, does it have a fang to like impose that to your employer? Kasi wala naman siya sa kontrata nyo. So, dapat importante talaga yan guys, that you have and you know kung ano yung contract mo. Ha? So discriminatory hiring and unconscious bias. Questions about age, gender, religion, family plans, or sexual orientation. During the interviews, di ba, nangyayari to. Are you pregnant? That's a no-no question. Or what is your religion? Kasi di ba, there are companies na very religion-centric. Na kung iba yung relihiyon mo, you get some biases. Like, I experienced this and we have corrected this before ng yung mga SDAs, 'di ba? Seventh-day Adventist. There are companies na very particular sila, ipapatanong talaga nila 'yan sa mga recruiters nila. What's your religion? Kasi syempre ang SDAs, they don't work Friday evenings until Saturday evening ata. Is that right ba? Parang Friday night, wala na sila up until Saturday ng 6 p.m. So, yan yung mga discrimination na nangyayari din based on religion na hindi dapat. Kasi you can work naman around it, di ba? One day lang naman yan sila hindi pwede. They could still work on different days. So, or there are, pero guys again, you need to understand that there are also some work na specifically pang babae lang siya talaga. So I don't really see it as sexual orientation or sexual discrimination. Kasi for example, may mga work kasi na like let's say ang client mo is a medical practitioner tapos nakikita yung mga private parts ng clients nila. So si clients nila nagsasabi na we only want female ang mag-a-assist sa amin. So is that discrimination kung hindi sila magtanggap ng mga lalaki? 'Di ba? So we need to be very, not just we just need to be very critical. Don't be overly sensitive na, hala, hindi niya ako hinire dahil lalaki ako or I'm gay or I'm ganito. You need to understand then kung ano yung nature of the job. there are jobs naman na, di ba, any gender will be fine. But there are also jobs na they would require specific genders. Like, yun nga, as my example, na parang ang mga clients nila are not comfortable na maghubad in front of a male attendant or magpakita ng mga private parts nila with male attendants. So, female lang talaga ang gusto nila. So, pero hindi naman kung siguro if it caters to female clients. Pero kung ang business naman is unisex, may male clients din sila that they want male clients, male din yung attendants, then 'di ba? Mababalance out pa rin siya. Pero sometimes aesthetic na mga businesses, 'di ba? Yung mga nagpapa-laki ng boobs or nagpapaano ng mga nagpapa-fix ng mga stuff nila. So they are more comfortable with, like, kung babae sila, di ba? They're more comfortable with female then. So yun. So I don't think that that's really discriminatory. It's just what is required for the job. Pero like siguro it could be discrimination if like example sa isang company, sasabihan kanila na they don't want to have like trans employees. For example lang, hindi ka na hire because you're trans. You go to DOLE, nagreklamo ka for discrimination. You need to be critical then of yourself. Are you qualified ba for the role? Mga ganyan. So ang dami niya. So there are a lot of nuances, mga little things that you need to be very particular and aware as well. Biased decisions favoring personal preferences rather than qualification. Eto, kind of tricky then with hiring managers kasi sometimes 'di ba pipiliin nila yung may mas itsura, mas bata, ano pa ba? They want someone kasi I connected with the applicant, so gusto ko 'yun. So yan, very careful lang dyan kasi it could be an issue. It could be a discriminatory ground actually. So, let's move to the next one. Questions about this? So, by the way, type nyo lang ha. I'll answer lang kung meron. Compensation and benefits violation. So, underpayment and illegal deductions, unauthorized penalties. Ito yung mga penalty. When I was younger and I was working sa Jollibee, natakot ako before. Baka pag nakabasag ako ng mga, di ba meron yan, yung mga companies that they would deduct, especially sa hospitality management. Pag nakabasag ka ng pinggan, may deduction ka ng 25 pesos. Pag nakabasag ka ng baso, may deduction ka na ganito. So, are those authorized penalties ba? Did you sign up for it? So, they cannot reduce or deduct something from your salary kung walang written consent or it's not written on your contract. So, dapat aware ka nito. Hindi pwede na hindi ka aware tapos i-deduct lang yung salary mo. Overtime, holiday, night differential errors. I think we had discussed this during compensation and benefits na discussion kung magkano yung mga ginabaya dito. But incorrect coding of timekeeping, not paying work on rest days or special holidays. Guys, if you are aware, there are two types of employees, mainly an exempt employee and a non-exempt employee. Exempt employees usually are managers up. Hindi na kami binabayaran ng trabaho on holidays. Okay, so example, pag holiday, di ba, lahat kayo nagdo-double pay. Ang mga exempt employees, wala. So they don't get, they just work. Wala silang double pay, walang 30% na special holiday pay. But again, that's already, that's on the labor code and that's also on the contract na you're not being paid during holidays. Sometimes, some companies would give paid time offs, like bibigyan ka ng PTO or bibigyan ka ng lieu leave because nagtrabaho ka during the holidays or nag-OT ka. Kasi exempt employees are also not entitled for an overtime. Kay fixed na daw yung salary. So, yan. Non-remittance of statutory contributions. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na you need to check. Leads to lack of benefits for employees and puts the company at legal risk. So, example, check your PhilHealth. Nagbabayad ba or nagre-remit ba yung company mo? Kasi What if na-aksidente ka and then you went to the hospital and then wala ka palang PhilHealth. So there. So these are the things that you need to check, ha? Pagbalik mo sa work, sa Monday, you need to check these. Next would be disciplinary and due process failures. So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na there should be notice or notices before even termination. So lack of notice and hearing, not issuing written charges, everything should be documented kasi guys. So dapat may NTE talaga yan. Pag may nangyari na violation, there should be a notice to explain or at least you ask the person to write an incident report. Okay, dapat may IR yan. And then, after ng IR ni HR, si employee mag-answer. They need to answer within 3 to 5 business days. Kaya may answer yan sila. Tapos, after ninyo ma-receive ang answer, if you feel that the answer is not really enough and you want to do a hearing, you need to send a notice to the employee na, okay, may hearing ka sa ganitong araw, sa ganitong oras, ganitong time, from like let's say 1 to 5, ito yung mag-a-attend, you are entitled to bring your lawyer to defend yourself. So yun yung dapat na mangyari sa due process. Hindi pwede na may letter ka lang, terminated ka na. Okay? So it could be illegal termination kasi walang due process na nangyayari. So the employee, as I've said earlier, should be allowed to defend his or herself. Inconsistent penalties, different consequences for similar violations. That's the reason that I was saying kanina that there should be a table for disciplinary action. Ano yung penalty sa ganitong infraction? Hindi pwede na, okay, since close kami ng tao na to, okay lang yan na 1 day suspension ka lang, pero sa ibang tao, 5 days. Diba? Hindi yan pwede. Kasi it could be perceived as favoritism or bias. So dapat lahat ng infraction on a specific level should have the same penalty. Okay? So there, balancing firmness and fairness. HR must enforce rules while protecting employee rights as well. So dapat ito yung sabi ko kanina that HR should be in the middle. So it should be a balanced approach. Okay? You are enforcing the policy, you're also protecting the rights of the employee na hindi naman mababiolate yung rights niya. Fairness builds trust and prevents legal dispute. Kasi if you have settled it internally, no need to go to an NRC or magpadole or magpakorte kasi you've already settled it internally. And if the employee naman feels that the result of the infraction is balanced naman, fair naman siya, hindi na yan sila magrereklamo. Pero if they feel na ay parang hindi talaga yun tama, so that's where the legal disputes come in. Okay, next. Workplace ethic concerns. So harassment and retaliation, bullying, unwanted comments, intimidation, and punishing employees for reporting misconduct. So in my previous company, we actually put a whistleblower policy. So meaning hindi ka pwede, what do you call that? Hindi pwede mag-revenge yung nireklamo mo sa'yo. Hindi siya pwede mag-reklamo din against sa'yo up until na ma-resolve itong reklamo against sa kanya. So that's actually parang protecting the person who was the whistleblower, who brought the issue to the attention of the management. Parang it's also protecting that person against retaliation. So yan, we don't punish kasi the employee na nag-air ng concern as well. sometimes ito yung mga kinatatakutan ng mga empleyado, di ba? That they will be punished if magreklamo sila. So ako as HR leader in my previous organizations talaga, I would really tell them na, no, you need to also air that concern. And there are naman in companies, there are naman a lot of anonymous na mga yung mga report to the CEO or email the CEO, email HR, mga ganyan. So anonymous naman siya, which you can take advantage of. Pero make sure lang naman that when you air out a concern, legit naman siya na concern, hindi na narinig ko kay ganito na ganito, hindi yan pwede. Conflict of interest, personal relationships affecting decisions. Ito yung kanina na yung sa nepotism, di ba? If relative yan sila. So relationships can affect decisions against a specific employee or for a specific employee. Accepting gifts or favors from vendors. Ito, madami itong nangyayari, di ba? Sa mga procurement. Like, ang isang vendor nagpadala ng binigyan ito sa mga medrep, normal na ito, normally binigyan ng iPhone 17 Pro Max si procurement officer para i-prioritize ang vendor na yon. So that's also a workplace ethic concern. Digital ethics violation, misuse of company tools. Ito yung mga company laptop mo pero nag-Facebook ng personal. Cybersecurity breaches, nagda-download ka ng mga videos dyan sa office. And inappropriate disclosure of confidential data. Like may tumawag sa'yo, nagtatanong about this specific person, you did not confirm the identity, binigay mo lang ang number at ang address ng person na yun. So that's also inappropriate disclosure of confidential data. So there. Questions muna pala before we proceed to this. Any more questions, especially sa yung mga violations and stuff? So if you see those things, feel free ka talaga to, you need to really air out that concern to your HR. Kasi you need to call out the attention of the company as well. So no questions. Sige, let's proceed kasi we're almost on top of the hour as well. So so to build a strong legal and ethical HR practice, we need to create clear policies. So this is the reason why your employee handbook should be reviewed on at least every year or 2 years to make sure that the policies that you have are still timely and relevant. So number 1, to create clear policies, you need to have a code of conduct which defines expected behavior, professionalism, and company values. So normally companies will have a code of conduct revolving around their core values. So that should be part of it. Anti-harassment policy. It should have clear definition, reporting channels, kanino ba mag-escalate? Di ba may mga escalation channels tayo? And what are your zero tolerance stands? So when you say zero tolerance, di ba, if ginawa yon, it usually results to a termination. Attendance and leave rules. So it should be transparent processes for tardiness, absences, and leave entitlements. So sa leave naman, magkano nga lang yung mandated by the government? Ilang leaves lang? 5. Diba? 5 special SILs. So service incentive leaves. Those leaves, yung 5 na yan, you can take advantage of it or it will be credited to you after a year of working in the company. Pero sa ibang companies, they have better leaves na binibigay. So whatever those better leaves, yun yung pina-follow. So all of these 5 leaves naman, yung mga SILs nyo are converted to cash at the end of the year kung hindi nyo siya nagamit. Then that's also the reason why companies would really have at least 5 leaves that are convertible to cash. Kasi mandate yan ng law na may 5 dapat na leaves na convertible to cash pag hindi ginamit. So whistleblowing mechanism, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, that it should be confidential, safe channels for reporting misconduct without retaliation. So yun, dapat may whistleblowing or whistleblower policy kayo, or at least an anonymous reporting channel or a reporting platform where you can report misconduct without the fear of retaliation. So there. Next would be strategic documentation. What are your 201 file essentials? So this should be sa HR na ito ha. But this should be contracts, job descriptions, performance evaluations, and statutory documents. For employees, sa inyo na mga nagtatrabaho, I would also suggest that you keep or you check if you have these. So may copy ba kayo ng contract nyo na sign ng company? May job description ba yung contract na yan? Or at least you have a different job offer document that states your job description. Keep your performance evaluation. It might be your regularization evaluation, annual evaluation, or anong evaluation pa yan. As long as it's a company document, you need to have a copy of that. Why? What if it terminate ka? Tapos yung reason nila is non-performance. So you can actually contest and question the complaint or at least the penalty na hindi ka nag-perform kaya tanggalin ka because you keep all your performance evaluation. So you can actually submit that as evidence. And statutory documents, of course, yun yung sabi ko kanina, you should have a copy of your PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, SSS numbers, and also you can request from HR to give you yung remittances. Pero, well, you can actually do that online. You can just go to Pag-ibig na website or SSS, makikita mo dyan, or PhilHealth, makikita mo dyan lahat ng remittances, makikita mo dyan kung ano yung mga company na nasa pangalan mo and what are the remittances given. You can also check kung updated yung remittances na yon. Incident reports or IRs, objective accounts of workplace events for reference and due process. So, etong mga IR, si HR talaga, ikikip naman nila ito. Pero ikaw, if may IR na binigay sa'yo, sa akin kasi, everything na company record, you keep a copy just for documentation, for future use. Ito din, performance evaluation, it should be consistent, evidence-based assessments to guide development and decisions. So, ano ang reason na binigyan ka ng fail? Okay? For example, sinabihan ka na fail ka man sa ganitong area or criteria of the assessment. Why? Anong evidence? And HR records, inventory and cycle counting. So ensures files are complete, updated, and compliant with retention rules. So ito yung balikan natin kanina yung sinasabi natin na kailan ba tayo dapat mag-dispose ng mga documents natin. And make sure lang if you're in HR pero this is for HR since this is also part of the compliance that the files are complete, it's updated, it's compliant. Ang mga document mga dapat i-notarize na notarize, yung mga ganyan. So compliance in talent acquisition. So this is for recruiters and recruitment. Lawful interview questions. You focus on skills and experience. We avoid personal and discriminatory topics. So if you have an experience, kung mag-interview, kung nag-apply ka and the recruiters are actually doing this, then that's not proper. Equal opportunity standards, fair sourcing, screening, and selection across all demographics. So, fair sourcing, minsan dito din, that's the reason na may mga regulatory bodies, diba? Like, for example, for BPOs or other companies, meron yan silang association that's handling the membership of companies in the same line of business. Kasi, syempre, even sa BPO, di ba, may mga poaching na nangyayari. Like, you pirate employees from a different company. So that's a no-no sa equal opportunity standards natin. And candidate experience and transparency, you should be given honest timelines, expectation, and feedback build employer credibility. So, di ba, kung nag-apply ka ng work, normally, binabalikan ka ba ng mga in-applyan mo? Nagsasabi ba sila na give us like 3 days to process your application, mga ganyan. Nagbibigay ba sila? Okay, nagbibigay ba ng expectations? What's next normally? So, sa amin kasi, we always make sure that, we always mention, the next step of the process is an interview with this. If you get selected for the screening, then we will be endorsing you to the next level of interview with this person. Give us ganitong timeline to endorse your application and for them to review, and then we get back to you. So dapat balikan nyo talaga, dapat may feedback talaga and may notice, kumbaga. If hindi siya nakapasa, then you send them a rejection. Hindi naman pwede na maghintayan dyan sila ng forever. And controlling functions in HR, monitoring and audits, regular checks on payroll, benefits and performance metrics, and documentation. For regular checks, eto na, diba? Every year may mga source tayo ng market study, like ang sweldo ba ng ganitong role sa amin sa HR. Like ang sweldo ba ng ganitong role, saan na ito sa market. So we always check on may mga benefits audit kami when we do, when we go back to the employees, is this benefit still relevant? Ano yung gusto nyong benefits na, what are the most important benefits? When we started the company last 2018, ganyan yung ginawa namin. Nagpa-survey kami, what are the top 3 benefits that you want sa company? So, syempre, yung mga top 3 dyan would be HMO, yan. HMO, flexibility sa schedule, and the third one that they would have would always be like more leaves. So yan. Corrective actions, of course, address systemic issues, not just individual mistakes. So hindi pwede na ang corrective action tailor-fitted siya sa isang tao. Okay? So it should be addressing the systemic issue or what are the issues sa company. Hindi lang na para sa isang tao lang siya ginawa. And continuous learning for HR staff. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, that there should be training on new laws, case rulings. Kasi di ba, there are times na may mga nag-change na mga policy si government, mga Republic Act na mga bago, emerging trends, ano yung mga bagong trends, and ito sa diversity, equality, and inclusion, ng mga ethical dilemmas na matagal naman actually ang some of them, but with the strengthening of the DEI na mga policies in place, may mga dilemmas din na dapat i-consider. So HR, again, is not set in stone. It is a continuing learning process. So even nga sa side ko, I still learn. I still do my training. I still read stuff. I study stuff kasi nag-change din yung mga policies and regulations. So yun. Questions? Anyone? So before we entertain the questions, let's summarize muna ang ano. So compliance is both a legal obligation and an ethical responsibility. So HR compliance isn't just about avoiding penalties. It reflects an organization's commitment to fairness, integrity, and respect for people. By aligning legal requirements with ethical standards, HR builds the foundation of a safe and trustworthy workplace. So most workplace violations are preventable with proper systems. So common issue, misclassification, incorrect pay, due process lapses, and unethical behavior. So these arises, of course, kung weak ang HR controls, walang mga proper policies in place. I suggest that you should always keep documentation and always apply the rules and also do a routine audit. Kung hindi kayo HR practitioner, you can actually flip this, okay? Meaning you need to document everything. Lahat dapat. Ako, I still keep like my pay slips, ang mga deduction, I always check on it. Kasi that could be a basis. Dapat documented lahat yan, guys. Ha? So, sa mga students yan na hindi pa nag-work, you need to document everything sa work ninyo. Clear policies and strategic documentation drive organizational stability. So well-crafted policies like code of conduct, anti-harassment, and leave rules should be paired with accurate and updated records, support consistent decision-making, because this not only protects the company during disputes, but also enhances employee experience by eliminating ambiguity. So before kasi, mas prone ang HR sa mga mistakes na to kasi manual siya. Excel, papel, nawawala yung papel, na-erase yung mga Excel sheets. But in the current naman na status ng technology ngayon, there are a lot of HRIS na medyo, it got rid of lapses, some of the lapses, because most of it is actually encoded na and saved on the cloud directly. So pwede siyang i-access anytime, pwede siyang may mga AI na siya na component which also eliminates yung mga human error natin. And HR competence in compliance becomes a competitive advantage. When compliance is embedded into recruitment, employee relations, and daily operations, it strengthens the employer brand, boosts trust, and increases workforce retention. Companies that uphold compliance attract better talent and create long-term stability. So, di ba, pag maganda yung HR, pag maganda yung company and policy, nag-a-attract siya ng talent, ang mga tao ayaw nila umalis because maganda nga yung mga benefits, maganda yung compliant si company sa mga legal standards, industry regulation. So, mas nagiging lapitin ng mga aplikante yung company na yun. So compliance is not a cost of doing business. It is a strategy for building a stable, trusted, and high-performing workforce. So I guess that's it for me. Any questions, guys? May mga questions pa ba before I give it back to Rain? We're almost on top of the hour na din kasi. So we have 7 minutes to go. Any questions? We can still entertain siguro a few if there are. I know that this is really focused on HR functions, but as I always said, you can actually flip it and get that learning and use it sa daily lives, especially kung mga estudyante pa kayo and you're not still working. Make sure that you are very critical with, again, the documents that you are signing, the statutory benefits na dinideduct sa sweldo nyo, may mga penalties ba, yung job description sa contracts nyo. You need to keep all of those documentation. Do you have a documented performance management forms ba that would na-discuss ba yung performance nyo? So those things, yan yung mga importante na dapat nyong i-keep in mind when you start working na. So there, any other questions before I give it back to Rain? 60 seconds and counting, guys. We're at like 7:54. Any questions? No more? Wala na mga questions? Sige. If there are no more questions, meron ba? None for me. Thanks, Mitchell. Yeah, Mitchell. Arostica. Sige. I hope it's clear. But I'm just gonna leave um, this advice to you again. Be very critical of the things that you're signing. As an HR professional, yan always ang ano nyo. Yun yung sabi nga nila, di ba? Always, forgive me for the term, but always watch your behind, di ba? Watch your ass. Kasi document, keeping documents or documenting everything would really save you a lot of trouble in the future. If you have all of those evidences, if you have all of those documents, you keep everything. You keep a copy of all of those signed documents na ano ng company. That would help you a lot in the future in case something happens, di ba? Sige, I'll give it back to Rain. Rain, I'm done. Thank you so much for the time, guys.
Ay, ayan. Thank you so much po, mentor, for that very clear na discussion. So, nag-call na tayo ng questions and then wala naman daw po. So, if klaro na po sa lahat, kindly send a heart emoji po sa chat or kahit mag-react na lang kayo. So, ayan, while waiting po sa mga reactions, please don't forget to fill out our attendance sheet. So, you can scan the QR code po right now na nasa screens ninyo, or you can just click the link that will be posted in the chat box. Ayan, ayan, wala na daw po silang mga questions so far. Are there, so okay na po. So, ayan. We would also like to invite po kayo, everyone, to join our scheduled webinars for January 2026. So, if you are interested into any of these topics that is presented to you, you can actually register right now through scanning the QR code then. So that after scanning, that will redirect you po sa mga registration forms. So for updates, announcements, and future learning opportunities, please don't forget to follow us on our social media pages. So, meron po kaming Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Scale Up Training and Development. So, that concludes Human Resource 105 webinar on Human Resource Workplace Compliance. Once again, thank you so much for joining us ngayong gabi na ito. So, stay safe. See you in our next webinar. And remember, we are your Scale Up partner. Good night, everyone.